everybody, and welcome back to Words with Wayman. I'm your host, as always, Matt Wayman. Thank you so much. Support us on the interwebs at Words with Wayman on the Twitters, Words with Wayman on the Facebook, everybody. Welcome to the podcast, recording live on location at the Crossroads Theater, local performance and literary artist, Mr. Jaryd Smart.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming out and doing this thing. Okay, so explain that title to people right off the gate. Performance and literary artist. What does that mean to you?
Well, I've been interested in art for a long time in all its facets, and so I view a lot of things as art. When people say they make music, I tend to say art. And I was trying to capture it for a while, and it just became a list. It just was like, and I felt like an asshole listing out all these things.
Like different mediums, you mean?
Yeah, and being like, oh, well, I'm a musician, and I'm a singer, and I'm a writer, and I'm a actor, and I dance, and I build sets, and, So I just got tired.
Without, like, being pretentious or, like, just,
like feeling like, well, yeah.
What are you into? Well, how much time do you have?
Yeah, get your notepad out.
Because I do it all.
Yeah.
And I do it all well.
But I've always wanted to do that, like I've always wanted to be a Renaissance man. Because those people seemed really dope when I was 14. I was like, oh, those are the people that did what people told them they probably couldn't do.
And did them all well?
Yeah.
I think you're 100% right from the mindset of, like, art is so many things, and it's just a creative mindset that you apply to everything is what being an artist is.
Well, you do comedy, and you do this, and these are both forms of art, right?
Absolutely.
These are both forms of you figuring out ways to either make people laugh or inspire people.
Yeah.
Or,
That's why this one started from the just, like, talking to creatives about how to balance work and life to maybe inspire other people to and maybe get into art or maybe just like discover like even just like paint or just do something that is an outlet for stress and just whatever, you know, and just creativity.
I love it.
That need inside. What was the first kind of art thing where you realized that you liked it? Was it like drawing as a kid or?
It's always been music and singing, I think. Did
your parents get you into that?
Yeah, well, my mom sings.
Nice.
And she had a vocal scholarship, but she never even went to college.
Really?
Yeah, and so she's been singing since I was barely developing as a human or a concept, right? So I grew up with that, and my grandma played piano, and so I learned how to play piano from like 5 or 6.
That's pretty rad.
And took lessons up until I thought it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
Changed out for karate and basketball.
Of course. There's that athletic thing, especially I think for boys, that they want to do something. Yeah, the music stuff isn't cool.
Yeah.
But then later in life, I'm sure you're like, I'm so glad that was a thing.
When I was 16, I was like, man, I wish I could play the piano better. Because women liked piano. And when
it was a change,
16,
I'm sure. Yeah.
All you want is like the opposite sex to be, or your desired sex to be into you. And
through music, I think is definitely a lot like playing in bands.
Yeah. So that was kind of like the later in high school where that came back.
So did you play in bands or just more?
No, I started doing theater in high school. I got into theater. My uncle had passed away like right as I was going into high school, but he was a theater major and a critic, and he has published works. He's a published playwright.
Definitely.
And so I was like, I was getting into that, and there's always a piano. There's always a piano in a theater, and there's always music.
Was that a thing where when he passed away that kind of hit you and you're like, I'm doing this like as tribute to him, or more so did you just learn about him through his passing that you got interested in
I mean, I knew he was into it the whole time, and I always knew that I was into it, and so I was excited to be going into it, and then to lose him, it was literally the summer before, so I had already registered for theater and was like doing this, and so that was interesting. Because he went to my high school and was in the theater troupe there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I mean, at least it's like, I'm sorry to hear that he passed away, but at least, like he accomplished a lot, it seems like, through his life.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate the sentiment. It was like 15 years ago, so I'm good.
You're like, I've recovered from it.
That's sad.
We can move on into the future. So is that when you kind of started getting into playing music in front of, and like, actually, was it just you?
That was like after high school. So the music found me during high school.
Awesome.
And then after high school, I stopped doing theater and was like, I'm going to focus on music, right? So I was trying to always pick one.
Yeah, to like be really, really, really good at one thing.
Yeah, because everybody said it's hard enough to do any of the things.
10,000
right?
hours
You should
stuff.
have a backup plan, and 10,000 hours of work.
Which I don't buy.
Well, yeah.
You can do 10,000 hours and still be shitty at something. You know what I mean? I know a bunch of people that go to so many like school for a bunch of things and that they're terrible at.
This is true.
So it's like you put all your time into one thing. It doesn't not necessarily mean that you're going to be better at it, or that you put less time into something doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be bad.
What does an hour of time of a thing look like? You know, are you talking for an hour of stand-up? Would you be talking about like an hour on stage, or like does an hour of sitting around thinking about what funny is count? Right?
Yeah, I think writing for the most part, for time-wise, for stand-up is the most important part. Yeah. Because I mean, if you know what your character is going to be on stage, you just have to figure out what that character is going to say. But coming up with an hour of jokes takes a long time to write, so you really have to put the time in writing.
Yeah, that's the final one I want to break into, and I don't want to bring. I don't necessarily want to bring music into comedy.
You can do whatever you want. That's the beauty of comedy these days.
I know, but I'm not like I don't think I'm trying to find the space where everything separates in my life.
Yeah, just do stand up. I mean, stand up without music is definitely true stand up.
Yeah, but I want to.
I'm into musical comedy too, for sure.
I want to talk about like facts and like things like that like bother me.
Nice. Just put a bunch of jokes into it. That's what I always tell people.
Yeah.
I bet when they start doing stand-up, I feel like, not that I've even cracked the thing myself on figuring out stand-up in a lot of... Oh, well, I appreciate that. But, I mean, it is one of those things that's changing and tough, but... just pack a bunch of jokes. Like, just do as many jokes as you can.
That's what I'm trying to figure out how to do that and not just get up on stage and be that person, because I've seen everyone do.
Everybody always goes, I want to tell stories. It's like, no, let's just do a bunch of jokes. Some people can tell stories, but a fun story is just a story that's just a bunch of jokes strung together in some senses, you know?
Well, I feel like I got to get that part of me out, but I also feel like I'm funnier when I wake up. That's why I was...
Let's start at 9 a.m., Mike, you know what I mean? Yeah. Come get your coffee and get your comedy down here. Coffee at the Point. It's the only comedy open mic that starts before 9 a.m.
It's brilliant. But that's what I need. I need to add that one onto my music and my acting and all this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why I made her like a Jewish, like a old mom at the Coffee at the Point.
I mean, I'm kind of an old mom in the morning. It's fine.
I'm terrible in the morning. I know that, and I apologize for that all the time. But I'm just not a morning person. Some people are. I've been trying to work on it though. So you get into music and everything like that, and then you went to college after? Where'd you go to college at? Or did you not go to college?
Like way later. I figured out real early on, so I was doing really like optimistic music. So a big part of my music is wanting to put out a positive message.
Nice.
Like, I guess just like express a more loving sentiment or a more like open view of things. But as a 20 or 21-year-old, that's hard to grasp. Mm-hmm. And I had someone who I looked up to in their opinion, kind of vent out one day that they were sick of listening to young people telling them like the way the world could be, and that people just you don't have enough like dirt on your clothes, like you just don't. There's not enough like shit beneath your fingernails, right? Like,
to have anything to make music about in some essences.
Yeah, or to just like to preach about the way things should be or can be,
because you don't have enough life experience to be able to.
You don't understand the way the world works, so you can't talk about how we should change it because you've never like even stopped to be a part of it. You just came in criticizing, and so I guess some part of me was worried that was true or felt like it was true. And I took a long journey from Florida to like I went to North Carolina. I went to California, North and South, like lived in both parts for a while. And then Arizona. And that's where I ended up going to college. I was like 25.
So how long were you traveling around for, living in places? How many years was that?
That was probably about 3 years.
Nice. Just
total.
to kind of like see some different stuff and just get out.
Yeah, I grew up in Florida, but not at the beach, so I went to the beach for 6 months.
Okay.
And did like the summer at the
Cool.
beach as a 21-year-old, played music on the streets.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was really...
Just bust to make money.
Yeah,
That's
busked
rad.
and worked at a hostel and like...
That's super cool.
Yeah, it was like the thing.
I'm all about definitely going out and getting life experience, and I think it's a thing that you can grow so much more and faster, especially if you do it when you're young.
Yeah.
When you're more malleable. And
Yeah, exactly. And looking back on it, it was like super stereotypical, right? But that was just, like I said, it was like the thing to do. And
But I also know the complete opposite of people that have stayed in the same town and not gotten out,
Yeah, and super glad that I did.
Yeah.
Really into all the experiences that I had. Like, I've never been out of the country, but I was able to meet lots of people from out of the country.
Nice.
And being there playing on the street was where people told me that I reminded them of Asheville, which makes me laugh now, but like at the time I'd never heard of Asheville. So that's where I ended up moving after a lot of strangers kept telling me about this place. Like, people who didn't know each other were coming up to me and saying it. So I was like, okay, I'll move to the mountains now, like after the beach. And then I was like, all right, time to move to the west side of the country.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Just trying to experience the place that, I grew up being America, not just the South. And like, you learn a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different history everywhere. And then landing here in Denver at like a later point in life after kind of like even being in Arizona and like going to college.
Yeah.
Held down like a manager job for a long time.
What'd you go to college for?
I was studying musical theory and furniture making and acting and just like,
Just bouncing around?
yeah, just building up student debt, and like doing the college experience, like immediately after doing a manager of a sales floor experience. Like,
Man, that must have been such a drastic change. And probably for the a lot better, right? You just got to party again?
what is it?
I said you just got to party again and just live that college.
Not really. I guess some. I was working for a band on the weekend, my roommate's band, but like mostly when I was working, I was just like miserable, I think. And then when I was going to school, like I was living like really healthy and not going out and partying. I was 25, so I was a lot older than a lot of the kids at my college. And
it's kind of like I'm here to get the education and
yeah, class was kind of my party. Like, I really enjoyed going to school when I was going to school.
That's cool.
And then was like, okay, done with school, done with that life. Like,
it's
to
weird
be an artist.
when you think. I mean, you find the art and stuff like that, and I definitely found the comedy immediately after college. But I'm sure, like, for some people, it's like after college, it's like now what? Like I just wanted to be done with school. Yeah. That's what all I wanted.
I mean, I didn't finish. I was just like, I left. I was like, there's something else.
Yeah, I just wanted the degree for just to be kind of done with it. If I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to use this, but I want it, in some senses, if you ever.
I think it's great. I love school. If I had the time to just like do school. But so I moved to Denver and I got 3 jobs within like a couple weeks. It was February of 2014. So like right as marijuana's become legal. I'd already made the decision, but then Colorado voted and it was like, oh crap. It's gonna be nuts when I move out there.
Yeah.
And so I got out here and everything was booming. I got 3 jobs right away. None of them were working with art or me making my art.
Yeah.
And I was just like gonna do the thing. And I was like, I can't do it. I didn't move to Denver to be like a sandwich maker.
No.
And to
or
be
somebody else's
like
puppet.
Someone's personal assistant. Yeah. And like be a caterer. Like, sure. I mean, all that stuff pays well, but like, I just was like, nope.
Selling your soul.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Gave up my time. Started with doing theater.
Nice.
Working at this cool place.
Yeah, this rad place where we're recording. Speaking of that, I think that's a pretty nice little place to leave off for this first episode, everybody. We do this in 2 parts. Everybody, I want to thank you for coming out. Before we get out of here, tell everybody on the interwebs where they can get in touch with you and just kind of check your stuff out.
I guess you can find me. My name is Jaryd Smart, and that's I've never really gone by anything else.
Nice.
So it's JARYD. and my last name is Smart, and I guess there's just me.
Nice.
You find it. It's easy. I challenge you.
We challenge you on the interweb to find them. We also challenge you to find us on the interweb at Words with Heyman on Facebook, Words with Heyman on Twitter. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you all soon.
Just let me